Hi there. So I got your question about lesson 9. And so I went through and looked at what you have already done. And it looks like on 9.1, you got both questions right on the workbook. So then I went to 9.2, and I see you missed one of the questions on the workbook. So that's what I wrote down here. So the question was, suppose you borrow $500 and you're going to pay it back all at once in 5 years. You are charged 2% interest compounded monthly. How much will you have to pay? So what I did is I went here, this is in the lesson, and this example is really similar, so I thought we'd look at this one. So this one says, assume you borrow $100 with a 5% APR, annual percentage rate, compounded monthly. So they tell you that APR is a yearly rate, and the compounding frequency is monthly. So to find the interest rate per month, so since there's 12 months in a year, we're going to take the 5% and divide by 12. So we're going to do that, but with the numbers that you had. So this one was 2%. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take 2% but we're going to write 0.02 and divide by 12. So let's my calculator. So 0.02 divided by 12 comes out as 0.0016, and then that 6 is repeating. So I'll put a 7 at the end. Something like that. Okay, so that's going to be our monthly interest rate. So then what they do, now that we know that what their monthly interest rate is, we can use the simple interest formula to find the compounded interest. But it will take a lot of steps and a longer time, but you can do it. So here's the formula. So I'm going to write that on my paper, and then I'll go back to my other screen. So A equals P parenthesis 1 plus RT. Now we know that the R, we just figured out what the R is for us, that rate. So I'm gonna, again, I'll go back to my other screen here in a minute. I'm just writing down the month numbers. And we know that we started with $500. Okay, so let me show you what I just wrote down. I was just looking at that screen while I was writing. Okay, so I wrote down months here, 1 through 12, because we're gonna have to do all 12 months. And then I wrote down, we started with $500, that's P, the principal. And then this is just from the formula, 1 plus the rate times time, and we're just doing 1 month at a time. So this number times 1 is still just this number, plus 1, so now this is gonna be 1.0016 repeating, times 500. So I'm just using a cell phone calculator here. So I'm going to go 500 times 1.001, and I just put some 6s in. That's fine. It doesn't matter. The rounding will be so insignificant depending on how many 6s you put in there. So after 1 month, it looks like I would owe $500.83. Okay, and now we're going to go down to the second month. So our principal for the second month is $500.83. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, except my principal that I'm starting with now is a little bit higher because you got charged that interest from the month before. So I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go 500.8333, and I can just leave that in my phone if I want. And I'm going to go times 1.00166666, put some 6s in. So now I'm at $501.67 if I'm rounding there. Okay, so on month 3, that's going to be my principal, 501.67. And I'm going to multiply by the same thing and see what I get. So I'm just leaving this number in the calculator again, and I'm going to multiply by 1.0016666666. And so now I'm at 502.504. I'll leave it like that. And then I carry that down. So you're going to do that. You have to do that 12 times because it's compounded monthly for a year. But once you get in a rhythm, it's not that bad. And honestly, you don't need to write this part every single time once you kind of see what you're doing here. So go ahead and do that for that problem, and I'll make another video for the next problem.